Hello, I'm John Speights. Welcome to the Veterans Roundtable. Our guest for this segment is a 100-year-old war veteran, Mr. Raymond Berkley, who until recently lived with his daughter, Mrs. Virginia Hoy, in Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to our program. Which war period did you serve in, Mr. Berkley?
I was in the, I was on foreign fields all the time, see. I was in...
Spanish American?
Yeah, Spanish, yeah. Down in the West Indies and over in Europe, too. We had, in Portugal, different places we went to, you know. And we went ashore, different places, you know, hunting out the enemy. We didn't find any, see. We didn't have to shoot anybody. We came back peacefully. And...
excuse me, was that during the Philippine insurrection?
Yeah, insurrection, yeah, Philippine insurrection, we were there. And young boys like that, you know, young fellas. All of us are young fellas, 16, 17 years of age, you know, and it was a thrill to us, all of us, you know. We thought it was something, you know, how kids are, you know. And I enjoyed it very much. I came back and then I finished my course there and come age, you know. Then I came home, and when World War I broke, here comes a letter, report for duty. I thought that was pretty bad, you know, because I'd served my whole 5 years there, you know, in a danger part of the world. And I thought, boy, I hear all these athletes and all that, you know, having a big time, and here I was over there suffering, you know, the things of the climate there in different places, you know.
Yes, excuse me, Mr. Berkley, which branch of the military were you in the Spanish-American period?
I didn't go back. They called for me, you know, but they didn't take me, see. They got the quota. I lived in Washington, D.C., and you didn't have many there, you know, to pick from, so I had to... They picked me. I thought, oh, I got kind of sore, you know. I see all these, as I said, all the baseball players and football players are having a big time, and here I had to go back in the Navy again. I said, well, they didn't call me, though. They got their quotas, I said, so I didn't have to go. I'd have gone. I'd had to go.
Could you tell us a little bit about your work as a lay minister?
Layman, yeah, I went to, I had to go to night school and learn to be a minister, see. So I picked out the worst part, people to go to. I went to prisons and jails and different places like that, see. And where the big prison, you know, there's a lot of men, you see. And I preached the gospel to them, see. Some of them would accept the Lord and some would not, you know, just like outside. And then
what year and date were you born in, Mr. Berkley?
March 19th, 1884. That's a long time ago.
What's your secret of a long and productive life?
Well, I tell you what I think the best part is keep yourself clean, inside and outside. And that's what I did. Before I received all this information, I found a young lady that liked me, you know, and we got married. And then she was a good Christian, you know, boy. She was right over my trail. I had to go to the different places. And then I went and accepted Christ as my Savior in one of the churches there, you know. And then I went back to... I had a hard job, worked all day, 9.5 hours, then I'd have to go to school, the Moody Bible Institute, see. I studied to be a minister, and I worked 9.5 hours a day, see. Then I'd go out and preach at night or Sundays or holidays in different places. And they invited me because they knew there's different testimony than a young man who hadn't had any experience, like I did, see. And I enjoyed it very much. I was busy all the time, every day. I didn't have much time to myself at all. But at that time, a little bit of time, I'd go to school. I wanted to get a good job, so I went back to school. And boy, I guess these fellows were all kind of excited. They made me head of the whole shop, And these fellows worked there for years and years, But I had the experience, see. They just heard to work one machine, and I knew all the machines. That's the kind of job I had, see. I had to break a man in. I couldn't say, now, come here, John, off that machine. You break this fellow in. I didn't have to do that. Because I had to cut down with production. See, we were working on production. We get a bonus, for what money we made over the amount we were supposed to make, see.
Yes, to get back to your war service for a second, for how many years were you a sailor?
I was in 5 years. 5 years there.
Why so many years?
Yeah, see, I had to go. When I went in at 16 and come out as 21. See, I couldn't get out until I reached the age, see, man's age.
If we could go back to the Spanish-American period for a second, I believe in one incident you were washed overboard?
Yes, that was a embarrassing position, see. The captain was going ashore, and the man was in the stern of the launch, that's the back part, and I was in the bow, that's the front part, see. And a little choppy wave come up, and boy, it went up like that, and I went overboard. But I was a pretty good swimmer, see. I learned how to swim before I went in, and I was a good swimmer. And if I hadn't, I went down and because I had all my clothes and shoes, heavy shoes, Navy. They don't have just fancy shoes like we have today. But heavy shoes, see, because they have to be. It was the work you have to do on board ship. You have to go ashore. And I think I had a wonderful time. I didn't kick about it.
If I could turn back to the Spanish-American era, I believe Admiral George Dewey was a naval hero then.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I was, and then when he was in there too. I never met him, all right. I served on so many ships, When I went to go in, they don't break you in on one ship. You've got to go on different ones to learn, because you may be transferred to that ship, you won't know anything, see? So I worked on the torpedo and cruisers, battleships. I never worked on a submarine. I never worked on a submarine. That's the only ship I never worked on. I worked on all the others. Worked on the sailing ship, Constellation. That was stationed there, that's where they had to teach you. Go up the rigging, you have a rigging, go up the rigging, and you got spunk, if you're scared, you go up 150 feet, look down, boy. That's something, but I passed it all. My brother and I, we wasn't in together, see. They wouldn't let us go together, but he came out before I did, see. He only had to serve 3 years, and I had to serve 5. So we made it. I got a good government job after I got out. See, that paid off. Pretty good. I didn't have a want for anything.
Mr. Berkeley, I understand that the sailor's pay was not very much when you were in the Navy back then. They didn't pay you much as a sailor.
Oh, no, I only got $9 a month. That's a lot of money, wasn't it?
Yes.
Then I got a raise to 15, then I got 31. That was all I could get until I got a rating, see. So I didn't have a rating then. I had to go back again. I didn't go back again, so I had to get the rating. I guess that's a high salary. I got 31 a month. That's $1 a day.
Yes.
But I didn't mind it. But all of us, we got along pretty good. Then as I said, I got a good job in the Navy Yard, and I took up machinist trade, and I quit the Navy Yard because the government didn't pay much then. So I said, oh boy, they didn't want me to go, but I had to make some money. I was going to get married sometime. I said, boy, if I would go getting $20 a week or something like that, I couldn't support a wife on that. So as I said, I went back to school, and I got a good job, one of the best jobs I ever had in my life. With a company putting out powerhouse equipment. And I said, I worked there 35 years.
If you could add possibly, Mr. Berkeley, some more comparisons about how life was as a sailor back then and how the Navy treats its sailors nowadays, if you can think of anything to add offhand.
I don't know what they do today. I don't know how they teach them today, but when we went we'd have to, as I said, I went to night school. Then when I got in there, I had to use the Navy, whatever they have to ask me about the Navy. I had to go tell them all I knew about myself and what kind of work I was doing, and I made it. I guess I got the best job I ever had when I had in there. It made me first-class signal, and I thought that was fine. When it came out, here comes a letter, World War I, to report for duty. I thought that was pretty rotten, in plain English, because I'd served that time, in hardship.
We very much appreciate your allowing us.
All right, I got a lot of time on my hands. I'd like to have interviews and different like that to keep my mind going. I try to keep it going now. I read and study. I have to do it because if you don't, in plain English, you go nuts.
Do you watch TV?
Yeah, I watch TV. I watch the TV shows, and I study a lot too. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get out of here. I don't know. They're taking care of me though. My daughter is, so they take care of me now. And I enjoy life, and I don't care what I have to do, I'll do it. If they want me to do things that I don't like, I do it anyway. You know how when you get up in the brackets, things don't satisfy you, you start to complain. I don't complain here, though. They treat me fine. Treat me just as if I was a king.
Yes, well, again, we very much appreciate your talking with us, Mr. Berkeley.
Thank you very much. I like to talk sometimes. If you don't talk, you go cuckoo, you might say. You have to worry yourself to death. But I don't worry much, though. As I said, I read and study. And then as I said, I got accordion, I play that once in a while. I play that. I play that in different. I usually go to military places, and play for them,
Again, we very much appreciate your talking with us, and we've been talking and paying tribute to Mr. Raymond Berkeley, born March 19th, 1884, who was a sailor in the Navy at the turn of the century during the Spanish-American War era, specifically the insurrection in the Philippines. We'd like to thank the Veterans Administration Hospital in Fayetteville for letting us film here today. To remind our viewers, also, our local Veterans Day Parade will be Sunday, November 11th, 1984 at 2 p.m. in downtown Raleigh near the Capitol building. After the parade, ceremonies will be held on the south lawn of the Capitol, assuming that weather permits. Thank you for watching our program.